stories, raw truth, and powerful breakthroughs. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. Alisa Whyte, the number one mindset disruptor, and I want you to buckle up for this conversation. It speaks to the deepest parts of us, the part that's searching for peace after storms that we all go through in life. My guest today is no stranger to Mindset Mastery Moments. She is someone whose courage show up not just in her military service, which we are so proud and grateful to her for, but in her personal healing journey as well. Dr. Chrissy Emerick is a retired U.S. Army lieutenant colonel and a PhD in philosophy. I'm so proud of her. After serving in Iran and experiencing trauma firsthand, she discovered a trauma resolution method that shifted everything. And now she's using it to help others heal. This episode is about reclaiming peace, challenging what we think healing is supposed to look like. Keyword supposed to look like, and learning how to align the mind and the nervous system for lasting transformation. Dr. Chrissy, we are so happy to welcome you back to Mindset Mastery Moments. Please, for those who are hearing you on the podcast for the first time, tell us who you are, what you do, and why you do.
Oh, thank you so much for having me back on. I'm so looking forward to this and being with you again today. Again, I am Dr. Chrissy Emerick. I have a PhD in philosophy, and it kind of bores back to my military service where I was a chemical officer for 20 years. I served in the Army for 20 years. Absolutely loved it. Went to Iraq for a year, very young, about 24, 25. And yeah, like after Iraq, came home and started to just continue to serve. And somewhere along the way, a lot of my traumas emerged from childhood, from Iraq. And I sought to get healing. And I can't wait to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I am happily married and living in Michigan, loving my life. And after retirement, I started just supporting people on their healing journeys through different modalities. One of them that we're talking about today is mind alignment process. And one of them we talked about before is my husband and I are twin flames. We absolutely love that. And we can check out our podcast on that because we did one on there too. Very juicy. Yes. And we're just all about healing in this home and really supporting people and coming into deeper peace. And that's what I do all day. I absolutely love it. And I love supporting people in letting go of things that have been haunting them for years and bringing them into deep peace and helping them change their lives.
Yes. And you do an amazing job. Our last episode here on the podcast with you a few months ago, your tribe showed up and showed out. They're just such an amazing, positive community. So there's nothing that beats having a community village. One of the biggest passions I have as what I get to do in this world is saying, can we please rebuild the village? And you all did build a village and continue to do so. And you know what? It makes people mad sometimes, but too bad, too sad. Get in where you fit in or just keep out.
Exactly. I love that. Yes, 100%. We absolutely love what we do. My spiritual community is amazing. And we have a little MAP community too. Like, in MAP, when you go through MAP, you can join a private community of only people who are moving through or have moved through MAP. And we absolutely love having that online. It's one of the little pieces you get when you join and go through MAP. And I think it's so incredibly positive to be around other people in healing and like know that you're not alone in your healing. You're not alone in your experience, that all of us are moving through something. All of us have experienced trauma and all of us have the power to let it go. I think it's a really positive and very just profound conversation we're going to have today.
I'm ready. Let's dive in, Dr. Chrissy. Right. Take us back to the moment where you were healing and in your healing journey, where it all started, not just the outer story, but the internal one. What was a moment you realized something needed to change?
Man, this is such a good question. I know exactly where I was. I was in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and I had just gotten done with a very large position, a very high operational position that I was in. And it was time for me to go to school and get some more training from the Army, take a step back, relax a little bit, and just have some time for me because I had been, and there's very high operational, high needed jobs in the military, and I just finished one. And so I was chilling and I started having all of these experiences and I realized, like I had it really going on in a lot of places. I was just finished my PhD. I was rocking it at work. I was doing really well. I was on the fast track to the next position. I had a lot going on in my life. I was doing really well. Like all of these things were just, I was doing well. I was like, man, I have all of these things. I'm getting it. But this one area in my life was just a total mess. And that was my love life. It was just like every guy I dated, it just never worked. And I was like, there's something going on here I need to look at. I need to look at me because I'm the common denominator here and this needs to be addressed. All these guys are from different walks of life, are from different places in the world, different states. And like, it's just not working. And so when I started really sitting with myself, I started it very slow. I experienced like I went to the doctors. I went to the New Age section in the book. I went to the military chaplains or priests that we have. I was looking at anyone that could advise me on what was going on so I could like find a solution.
Yes.
Find a different way of living. And at this time, I didn't realize I had a lot of trauma. It didn't really come up yet because I hadn't relaxed enough to feel safe in order for those things to arise. And so when I did, and I started really looking at things about a year and a half later, that like I really started to relax in myself, relax into my position. I had moved on and got stationed in Italy. And when I was in Italy, just doing my job and not really, it wasn't a demanding job. It was just a staff job. And I had time to really start reflecting, really start looking at myself. And that's when my trauma hit. And I had like a trigger, like a huge meltdown. And I think that was, I was having an issue with a boss. And it really like isolated me, and also I shut down. I like really knew there was something wrong going on.
Right. Wow. You shared that you were skeptical at first and that traditional therapy didn't fully reach the depth of what you thought you were carrying at the time. What made you try something different, and what did that feel like at the first time?
Yeah. So I went for traditional therapy, and in the military, there's so many of us that like, it's really somewhat of a streamlined process. You go in, like I called the 1-800 numbers. I went into like the doctor. I was self-medicating pretty heavily with alcohol at this time, probably 2 to 3 bottles of wine a night just to like handle all of the stress and anxiety and like function. And so I knew like this wasn't heading in the right direction. I needed help. And so like I called the numbers. I told my boss I needed to go see somebody. I got all that kind of support, went into the doctors. They had me take a test and it was online. You had to give like 3 flashbacks and like you had to write all this stuff out. And then I felt like so open. I felt so like, really like raw. And then I turned it in and they were like, we'll call you. And I was like, what? Unfortunately, I don't think this is how it works. And so they're like, oh, we'll give you a call. I'm like, I need to talk to somebody. Like, what are you talking about? You're going to give me a call. That was brutal. Like, what? Yeah. And they're like, yeah, well, are you? Wow. It was wild. And they were like, well, it was Friday. And they were like, well, are you suicidal? I'm like, no, I have no intentions of harming myself. And they're like, okay, well, then we'll call you. And I was just like, I was so like struck by that. I had to like sit down in the waiting room and like just process because I couldn't. Yeah. And I was somebody who for years, almost decades at this point, had sent my soldiers to the hospital for care, like, cause that's where we send them when they need something. We send them to the hospital for care. I had no idea what actually happened until it happened to me.
Right. That's funny. I love that you said that.
Yeah. Yeah. So like, I was like, wow, this is like not okay. And like, I was a high ranking individual and I'm like, oh my goodness, how do they treat like, younger ranking or lower ranking individuals? I'm like, this is what I was very surprised. And it's not anyone else. It's not anyone's fault. I hold no resentment towards them at all. It's just the process. It's just the system. And it's known that like there's way more need than there are suppliers. And like, this is just where we are.
And like, if you're not going to kill yourself, you can wait.
Unfortunately, that's where it's at. So it's like, okay.
Like, people here want to kill themselves and there's like 10 of them and there's 2 of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's where it is. And so I was like, okay. So I went back in my car and I don't even know how I drove home in a foreign country by myself on foreign roads, but I got home. God got me. And so like I got home and I just like sat and processed it for a while. I started blogging. I was blogging a lot of stuff. I was blogging. And then like my spiritual leader at the time, I didn't even know he did this. He was like, hey, I can help you. Do you want me to help you? And I'm like, yeah, like absolutely. So Jeff, the creator of Map, and I got on the phone, and at this point, like it didn't exist because this was the first session.
A thing, yeah.
Yeah, and we got on, and like I was still like kind of wide open, right? Because I had just done this stuff, and he sat there, and like we moved through all of my experiences, all of my traumatic experiences, from like what I was going on in the office to Iraq to childhood, anything that arose, we moved through it. He invited me into letting it go, claiming peace, and then the session was done. And I was like, okay, like, he's like, no, you're good. Like, you're going to have some upheaval, but we're going to see what's going to happen. I'm like, okay. And so I just kind of felt through feelings. A lot of feelings came up the first couple weeks. And then after that, like, I started feeling better. I started having more energy. I started behaving a little differently. But listen, I did not know the profound effects of that session. I talked to you a little bit about this. This is what got us here. I talked to you a little bit about this in the last one, right? So like kind of catching everyone up. So like, I didn't know the profound shift I had until I went on a wine tour. Yeah. This was it. This was like the moment I knew it was MAP and I was going to support MAP for like the rest of my life. I came home from a wine tour. I was living in Italy, you know, so I was drinking wine. So like I came home from a wine tour and I had nowhere to put my bottles because all of the wine shelves I had were full and they were never full before because I was drinking so much. Right. So I had stopped drinking, but I hadn't stopped buying. And so like, I didn't even realize I had stopped drinking wine until about a month and a half later. And I had cases of wine stacked in my hallway with nowhere to put it. I literally dropped down to my knees and started crying because I knew it was healed. I was healed in this space that was like haunting me for a really long time. And I had gone through the different modalities, tried the different stuff, but this worked. I was absolutely floored and I just started crying. I was so grateful. And I was like, this works. This works. And I have really been sharing it ever since.
It with me. I was like, we have to talk about this again in more depth because everyone's probably thinking, well, okay, they may have heard about the process, but they did not realize how impactful it is and how transformation comes even quick more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for those who are hearing about it for the first time, what exactly is mind alignment process? And how would you describe it in plain terms to someone who might be just hesitant or someone who's just unfamiliar with trauma work? Period.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'm not a medical doctor, nor is anyone at MAP, nor do we purport to be. So we are layman and easy as you come. We are not doctors, right? So I love it. We are people who have had trauma and every MAP practitioner has gone through MAP. So they have experienced trauma and moved through it with MAP. And you can look at all their stories on our website. MAP is very simple and gentle process of letting go of traumatic memories through the flashbacks. So MAP uses the flashbacks to find out what you're holding on to and support you in releasing it so you can have all those pipes flowing again. You can process things. You can move through and live a complete and full life. And it's very easy. It's non-invasive. It's all done online. It's always been online. And so like it's an incredible process. It's about a 12 to 13 week program, 12 weeks if you want to, but a lot of people push it to 13. But you have 2 individual sessions and then 12 weeks of just group sessions in a group environment with others moving through it online. And it's just simply a process of letting go of what has been haunting you and claiming your peace there. And MAP truly believes in the power of your choice.
Right. It's not forcing you to do something that someone wants you to do.
Yes, exactly. It supports you in your power of choice to let go of that which is haunting you, which is affecting you, which is causing all the negativity in your life. And that's what we do. We support people in doing that. And it has incredible preliminary data. Our preliminary data suggests that MAP is literally the world's most effective trauma healing modality. It really does. Like, I absolutely believe in it. Since 2019, we have had over 830 people move through the program. And over 98% of the clients report a major dip in their flashbacks within the first week.
Right.
And like 98% are flashback free by the end of the program. They maintain that for 2 years. We check in 2 years after they've gone through the 12-week program, still healed at the core, still completely non-affected by their flashbacks. You still remember what happened to you. Like,
but it doesn't have the hold and effect.
Exactly. It doesn't have the energetic charge anymore to affect your life.
That is something, like, for me, part trauma that I went through. There was a sound associated with it.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter it didn't matter where I was. If I only heard that sound, my heart started racing, and it took me years. And because obviously I wasn't using the MAP process. Where are we now? It's almost 20 years later, and I've only been like a year and a half free of the flashback and the energetic charge that I experienced with that sound. And I don't know what I did, because I did not go to therapy for it, because it was so minor, so to speak.
This is I'm so glad you brought that up. Well, go ahead. Yeah.
But then when my body is shaking and I can't catch myself for quite a few hours and I can't think straight for something that occurred so long ago, it is not part of it. And it didn't matter that it only happened. Maybe I heard that sound once or twice a year, and that was the only time I experienced it, and I'd be shook for a few days. But then I went down a rabbit hole of thoughts and sadness, consciously and subconsciously, that was creating drama in my world. And I'm going through it alone because I'm not talking to anybody about it. I think my doorway is when I was able to see it for what it was and call it a thing, as Iyanla Vanzant would say. And when I called it a thing, then I began to work it. And I think my process was basically reminding myself, number one, that this occurred, and it was a chapter of my journey that hurt me, impacted me. However, I am safe.
Yes.
And I don't know that it might turn out that I innately created my own MAP process, but I kept reminding myself I was safe. And this was part of my journey, but it's not my current reality. And to keep releasing and telling myself, you're safe. This is not happening. It's not recurring. You're not even nowhere anyway close to it. So I had to keep bringing myself back to what my current reality is. I'll give that to you, Dr. Chrissy, and let you do what you do with it.
Yes. Congratulations for moving through it. First of all, that's a really big deal. And, this is such something that we work with, especially in we have free consults to see if MAP's a good fit for you, right? We provide that always. And something we work through a lot with people is they think what they had isn't traumatic enough to require support. Like you said, it was a minor thing. Judging your experience like that is so common, so common. Like it doesn't matter how I would move through that, or how Sally would move through that, or Dylan would move through that. If it affected you, if it caused an unsafe space within you and you can't move forward from it, you're stuck there, that's traumatic.
Yes.
That is trauma. And when you can't function or that pipe's not moving, I like to sometimes call us plumbers because it's all about what you said. It's feeling safe in that space to move through it. And MAP has created such a community of safety, such an incredible opportunity for trust. We've been working on building trust for years, right? We have on our website, we have all this preliminary data, all of these testimonials from people. We have had psychologists come through, their trauma therapy people come through and receive MAP from us. They love it. It really does work. And so I think not judging yourself first on any kind of experience that you've had that was traumatic for you is so vital. The first step, right? It's you have Iraq, when you're a combat veteran, I've been in Iraq. And I have had experiences there that were like not a good time, but there's something different. We know we're moving into that. We know where we're going. You know what I mean? We know we're going into war, and
Expected.
it's not unexpected. We know this is where we're going. We're trained for it. We're ready to go. And it's still traumatic, extremely traumatic. But when you have unexpected trauma or you have traumatic experiences from people that you trusted that have like wronged or betrayed you, and you're like holding on to that within you, huge. Relationship. So like parental trauma, sexual trauma, huge. It's important that you feel safe in whatever you need. If you need EMDR, if you need regular therapy, if you need equestrian therapy, whatever you need to move through that thing, give it to yourself.
Yes.
Truly find your fit and give yourself the opportunity to claim your peace. MAP is what worked for me. And MAP is what has worked for anyone that's come through it and chosen peace and chosen to heal. And it's worked.
I love it. And Dr. Chrissy, one of the things I love about your work is you go back to one of my, I think favorite is an understatement, but one of my main values and priorities in my own life, and it's peace. I believe I've written a couple of articles and a social media post about that. I guess in my late 30s, what I discover, I don't know if it's something that comes with age. When we're young kids, it feels like we're seeking approval. We want our parents to be happy, our teachers to be proud, and all of that. And then we become like teenagers and we get hot in our prime and we want love and we want romance and then we want to have the kids and the home and all the things. And then we get in our relationships, we want satisfaction, whether it's sexual, it's career, all the things. And we go through that phase. And then all of a sudden, somewhere right before you turn 40, you really desire peace. You don't want to talk on the phone and it be drama. You don't want to go to work and it be drama. You will quit a job for just them telling you about your hair too much. And you can't because you got to pay the bills, but it's disturbing so much, something in you that just doesn't resonate. My philosophy for my life, and I beg to, there's some research out there that what we really seek is peace. And it's wholeness, but I tell people you're not lost, you're not broken. You just